Hello crafty friends, Luisa Heinzel here. Welcome back to a new video. Welcome back to my channel. Hopefully you are all well. Hopefully you are in the mood to create something. Perhaps you would like to create something with me today. I am here with something like a new idea, hopefully. And I think in these times that are really weird, perhaps it can be a little inspiration for you when you are at home with limited supplies, with perhaps not in your crafty area or something like that. Perhaps you get some inspiration what you can do. I was in a really strange mood the last days. To be honest, I was not able to bring my brain and my body together, so it seemed that they were not willing to talk to each other. Excuse me. And then I had the feeling that I have to make a new video, that I have to create something. I wanted to come out of this shit. So yeah, sorry when I say that like this, but I think the situation is really weird. And even if I'm a person that likes to be at home, it's a really strange thing for me at the moment. And I tried to come up with something that perhaps can be an inspiration for you too. And mainly this is made for me, that I can bring my thoughts together, that I can come up with something creative or something like that. And perhaps you can follow me, and perhaps you would like to do this idea by your own. So what is this? Perhaps you know this cover here. So this mixed media girl I painted the other day to a junk envelope. So as you can see, this is only an envelope that I've cut into this shape, and I made this journal cover out of it. If you want to see this process, how I made this girl here, you can find a separate video on my channel. And then I've just sewn around here, made this cover, and as you can see, it's a work in progress. I have this things here. So because of the fact that I'm not there where my craft supplies are, this is made out of things that I had at hand. So this is some kind of paper bag from a shop, some eco-dyed papers that I had. This fabric here comes from a Barbie doll dress. So yeah, as you know, my Barbie doll things are here. From my other videos, you know that. This is some baking paper where I protected my table and so on. Some old book pages and stuff like that. Nothing is sewn together until now, because it's a work in progress. So what am I planning with this? So I often have the problem that when I make a journal, that I need something for my pages, some tiny little bits and pieces. But I don't always want to make a collage or a paper scrap or a bookmark or a pocket or something like that. Sometimes I need some really simple things. Sometimes it needs a little bit of color or something like that to bring things together. So of course here that's not the fact, because everything is in the same color palette. But when you imagine that you have a journal where you have colored pages, for example, from botanical books or something like that, then sometimes it can be that you have something here, and that doesn't fit together. And when you add something tiny, like a piece of washi tape, or like a little color dot or something like that, then suddenly everything fits together. For this journal, I would like to collect some special things that can solve such problems, so that I, when this is finished, can go through it when I make a journal and find some inspiration what I can put to my pages. But for this, I want to make it in a special way, because I would like to do it with paint. So it's something like a collection of painted embellishments and ephemera, if you can say that. I don't know if that is an expression for that, if you can say that, but yeah, that's my name for this work. So perhaps it doesn't make sense at the moment, but perhaps you would like to follow me in this video, and afterwards perhaps it makes sense, and perhaps you can find some inspiration for your own journals. And yeah, it's nearly meant in the same way like when you have an ephemera holder where you have these little pockets and you can put something into, and then when you make a journal you go to your ephemera holder, then you put it out and yeah, glue it into your journal or something like that. And this is something that will stay here. So I think that's, yeah, perhaps something like a cool idea, because the things that I will paint into this journal will stay here, and it's like a little album or something like that where I can go through and find some things, and then I paint them new into the new journal. So yeah, here's my idea later on, and then in the new journal I can say, okay, this can fit here, and I also can lay this next to my journal, and I can imagine if this style that I have here fits to my journal there. And that was the plan, to have some inspirational things that you can put into your future journals without taking them apart from the journal. So yeah, that's the plan. And I often see this really loose and grungy things like this on Instagram or Facebook or somewhere else. And that's another fact that I wanted to try, to make something out of my comfort zone. So normally, yeah, the first thing is this traveler's notebook size. Is not that what I'm doing normally. This one signature thing is something that I, yeah, do not normally, because often I have this hidden spine things with more signatures. The pages wouldn't come out here like this, and I would like to, yeah, kind of encourage you to do this. So do things that you normally wouldn't do. So especially in these times, I think it's a really big chance, even if our mood is something like weird, or yeah, some of us have problems and something like that, but perhaps it can be a help to do something that you never did before. And that's one of the things that I would like to bring to the world with this video. As you can see, nothing is sewn in here at the moment. I yeah, left it like this because I think it's easier to work in when you can take these things where you work on out. And I think I will leave it as long as I can manage that, to have this loose pages here and sew everything together in the end. That's the plan now. I don't know if that will work because it's very flexible and yeah, something like a little bit movable. Normally I don't like that when I work somewhere that it's such thing here, but perhaps it can be an idea to sew it in the very end, but until now I don't know. And yeah, what I am doing in this journal, I will split that into several videos. So this is the introduction, as you heard, and in the upcoming videos I will create something to the single pages, and every time hopefully with some new ideas. And to start this whole thing, I decided that I want to choose a color palette. So I think that can be yeah, a good help when you have something like a color palette, because we want the inside to fit together. Of course, later on in your journals, it can happen that when you have your color palette for this one, that you need another one. But of course, you can yeah, bring your ideas to the other color palette. But for this, I think it's a good idea when you have this one special color palette. And as you can see, I have this green tones here on my cover. And for that, I decided to stay in this green and little browny kind of stuff. I have some acrylic paints here on my table. So, of course, you can use every kind of paint that you have. You can, yeah, use watercolors or whatever you have. And first of all, I would like to water them down a little bit so that I can get started with my palette. So I have this plastic thing here because I don't have this normal thing where I am mixing my my colors. So yeah, I have to live with that. And first of all, I will try to open this. Sorry. I will give some of those colors here to my plastic foil. Of course, you can use them as they are. You don't have to mix them with water. But I like, especially in journals, when I use acrylic paint, I like to have it a bit mixed with water, because then it's not such thick, and I have not the fear that it can get sticky in the end. So sometimes when you use acrylic paints and you use them too thick, then it can happen that yeah, your pages stick together, and I don't want that. And because of that, I add some water in a second. And as you know from the last video, I hadn't a paintbrush here, and you wouldn't believe it, but in my little shelf there, I found some paintbrushes. I don't know where they come from. I believe some of them are from my grandmother, because I found them in a box where I have some oil paintings from my grandmother, and that was really yeah, something like weird, because I didn't know that they are there, and now I am a little bit happy that they are here. So you can do it like I'm doing it here with a paintbrush, and give some water to the color, and then yeah, what's the right word, water them down, or make them a little bit more liquid. So that is what I wanted to say. And first of all, I do it with every single color, so that I only have a little bit of this greeny water here to the next color, but I don't care about that, because I would do that in reality as well. So when I would paint with this green and then that, I would not clean my brush that much, because I can get some really cool effects to this next colors. Because when you have this green in from here, in here and here, then everything, in my opinion, fits together very nice, because now this yellowish thing is a little bit green, and that makes it fit together really well. So I don't care about this green in my color. And this yellow is a very great example for that, because this is very bright, and with this green here inside, it gets a little bit muted down, and you can see that this doesn't fit into this now. And that's a good thing before you do something on your paper, that you can see that, and that you can handle it before you put it to your paper. Am I in this frame here? Yes. And yeah, perhaps this brown background here, or this green background of my table, is not the best, but let me just do it like this and then put it to my other surface. This one here is a little bit tricky, but I think I have it. Okay. So the first thing for this color palette, I don't know if this is professional, so that I have to say, I'm totally, yeah, this is totally an intuitive process. Don't know if that's the right word, but I don't think about that very much, and I don't have an idea if this is the correct way to do. So yeah. Let me just check if you can see anything. Yes, I think the colors that you see here in my camera frame are that what I can see with my eyes. So even if this table is a little bit dark. And now I also have my front cover here next to me, so that I can check that the colors that I am coming up now with are the same, or in the color palette of this cover. I take this apart here, and I plan to make a color palette here. So yeah, that's a thing. I folded this page with the intention to make this color palette. So I think that looks really cool, hopefully, in the end, when this little smaller page is here in the beginning of the journal. So that I can find this page very easy when I go back to it, to this journal. And yeah, that it's an easy way to find this color palette and to look if this colors are matched together. And now I am trying to get out of this thing here the colors that I have on my cover. So the green that I have there on the cover is made out of some brush colors, so it was no acrylic paint, so that I have to yeah, mix this a little bit. And hopefully I will get that what I want to have. Yes, that's cool. Of course you can use your pure colors here. Of course you can do that like you want it. You don't have to do it like I'm doing it here. But yeah, I think when you have this and you have, for example, some magazine stuff or something like that, and you have this color palette, I hope that you can compare this with each other, and you can see if this fits together to this green tones, and then you have a perfect thing to find exact the colors that you need for your journal. Does that make sense? Hopefully. I think that's a really great idea. And even if this paper is reacting differently, so of course when you paint this to coffee dyed paper, eco dyed paper or something like that, the color will react in perhaps a different way. So when I use acrylic paint or I use brushes, watercolor or whatever, and the different kind of papers and the different kinds of colors, of course they will react in a different way. That's normal. But I think when you try to get something fitting to it, when you try to search for something fitting, then it's not such relevant, because the mood of the color, this typical thing of the color that you've chosen, will be the same when you look with your eye to this when it's dry and to your magazine or book page, and you will find something, then it will be nearly the same thing. So it's really hard for me to explain, but I think you know what I mean. And of course it belongs a little bit to the amount of color and water that you have here, what results you will get. Because yeah, as you can see, this green there I had a little bit more color and less water. Yes, more color and less water. And then I thought, okay, that's a little bit too dark for me, so I will use more water, and that's also a thing. I think I will make some notes here on this frame, so that I know that I had too much color here when I will work in this journal, and I will come back to my color palette. Then I know that that I have to be a little bit careful with the amount of color here. And I think perhaps that can be also a good trick to get that managed, to make some notes to this whole stuff, so that you know what you did when you come back to it. Yeah, and I think I don't like this green there on the top, but I can't do anything. And that's a thing that I have to learn, that I have to live with. So that's also a thing that's not been on my mind before. So this thing that you have to live with, things that happen, that are there now of course I can throw this page away, but that's not the sense of this whole thing. And I think that's a really hard thing for me when I see something and I like to try it. I see some inspiration or something like that, and then it doesn't turn out like I want it. So it's a thing I can go crazy with, and yeah, I have to learn that. And I think this kind of journal is a good thing to handle that stuff. I think that's, yeah, I can feel that now, even if I have only this little tiny thing here done, but I can feel that this can be yeah, a chance to get out of this whole stuff. And I have the feeling that I have to glue something over it here, even if I say that it's a good thing. Yeah, so when we have this here now, it looks like this. And I will heat this up here with my heat gun so that it dries a little bit more quickly, that you don't have to wait so long. And then I will be back. Okay, so here I'm back. This is dry. I just, yeah, heated it up with my heat gun, and now it looks like this. And I think I'm really happy how this came out, and especially this thing here is not so bad, I think. When this color is dry, obviously it's a little bit more matte and not such massive thing on the end or the beginning of this whole stuff. And what I also want to do in this step is the following. I prepared some white acrylic paint and this tiny brush here. I want to check out how white looks on top of this, because I have this white fabric here, and I also plan to do some things like, yeah, simple mixed media stuff or something like that. And often the things that I really like on Instagram or something like that are made with this things like white dots. Don't know if you know what I mean, but there are several people who make a really great job with this, and they often add some kind of white dots like I'm doing it here. And yeah, so I try to find my own thing with this, my own style. So I try to do it like this, but I think there are no rules or something like that. And now I can see how this looks on the different kinds of colors. And I think even if this is only something like a test, or yeah, something where you can try out things, it looks really nice. And I think when you have a journal page, you can do it exactly like this to a journal page. Why not? You could also take this piece of paper and make a belly band out of it. You can make a pocket where you put things in this color palette into it or something like that. So I think that's not too bad. When you have this, what can you do with it? So the following thing will be the first example what you can do when you have this. And I will show you that on another page. And in the next video, I will come up with a new idea. So let me just place this here that you can see it. In one of the next videos, I will come up with another idea for another page. So something, yeah, with this goal to make this painted ephemera or embellishment journal. But of course not only these things here, but I will paint some flowers or some leaves or some abstract things, and perhaps you would like to follow me with that. Then I would be very happy when you perhaps would like to subscribe to my channel, and then you will of course get informed when I upload a new video. Let me just take out this here. And let's try something here. Yeah, as I said, I will come up with some ideas, hopefully, some different ideas, but all made for this little tiny journal thing here. And yeah, I'm a little bit nervous. So let me just think about this. I think some dots would be really great here, perhaps along this line. So this paper was destroyed, and I've sewn here. This was a little slot here, and now it's not not such even, but yeah, that's a challenge too, that I have to live with that. And yeah, I just want to show you here how I think that you can grab this style and put it to another page, so that this journal gets something like a line, or something like yeah, you can see that someone has made some thoughts about that. Because when you now take the colors that you had before, and I think it's not such important that it's exactly this color thing, because you mix them out of this basic colors, and they will be similar, perhaps not the same, because of the surface you paint them on, but you will get now something similar like this. And I try to get it here in a smaller version, so that this page here fits to the first. And that can be probably a help for a journal that's made out of different kinds of papers and such stuff, that you can get something like a line in this journal. And why not using the simplest things, like this color palette thing? And of course you can also take this as a background for some stamping or something like that. So you could let this dry and then stamp over it with a stamp, or can also stencil over it or something like that. And another thing that I want to mention here is I started with this green, as you can see here. So yeah, that's nearly the same thing I have on both pages. The only difference is that this is a little bit smaller, of course. But what about going up to here with this color? So yeah, I don't want to have too much of this darker green. So let me just try how it looks when I go with this here. It's a little bit too light, because of course you don't have to follow your color palette in this straight way you had it here. So that's of course not necessary. You can also experiment a little bit around. And I hate this green. I can't resist to put here something onto that makes it a little bit more browny. Yeah, perhaps like this. And of course you can also do it like this, so that it seems to be, yeah, like this is a line or something like that. And yeah, so let me just dry this and then I will be back. Okay, so here I'm back. As you can see, that turned out really nice, I think. Even this green is not such bright anymore, and I heated it up with mud sheets so that I got this little dots here where more color dried at one place. So yeah, hopefully that makes sense. And now let's try to make this little white things there. Perhaps when you have this smaller stuff here, it would make sense only to make one of these white dots to every color thing here. Perhaps like this. And of course, when you have sewn here, it's not so easy to bring this into the right place, but yeah, I think that can look nice. So I want this white really be white in the end, so I take a little bit more of this color. So when it's dry, hopefully it's really white and not mixed up with this stuff under it. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if that makes sense, what I'm doing here. I don't know if you can imagine what I will want to say with this, but hopefully you can imagine that you can take this as a really great journaling embellishment, a journaling ephemera or something like that. When you put this to a tag or a journaling card or something like that, then you can put it into your journal. You can make several of these, and you can, for example, take a tag and make the same thing. And even if you have a tag that seems not fitting to this whole stuff, sorry, I just have to, it's a really small room, but it's a little bit far away here from my normal things. So let me just show you what I'm meaning. So now you have, for example, this one here at the front of your journal. You have this here on one page, and then you think, okay, that's a cool idea. Perhaps I would like to make some things in a similar way. Of course, you can take a tag and just take your colors that you had, and you can add some, something like really simple things, some things that are similar to this, but smaller or bigger or in the other direction or something like that. So here, for me, it would make no sense to make it in this direction. So the next thing here and here and here, because that's against my my personal mood. But of course, you can do it when you don't have this thing here. But this is onion dyed watercolor paper, and of course, you can add those things to all the things where you think that that they have to fit together. And I think that's a cool thing, because you can experiment here, and when you perhaps want to give this journal away, the person who gets this can see immediately that you have thought about this whole stuff. And that's the cool thing. I often see people who explain what they thought when they make a journal, and that's sometimes so incredible. I had this feeling when Laura from my design team, hi Laura, made her last, and so it was the first project for my team, the first design team project. And when she told in her video what she was thinking about when she made this journal, it was such an incredible thing that I thought, okay, I can see that, but is it really necessary that we have to explain that? So of course, sometimes it is necessary, because the people can't see this amount of things, this thinking and this stuff, what's going on in our head when we make a journal. The people can't see that, because they see, okay, it's a journal that fits together. Whoa, here everything fits together. And they can't see what we were thinking about when we did this journal. And of course, it's not meant bad when I say, Laura, is it really necessary that you explain that? Of course not. But I think I love those stuff where the people can see what we were thinking about when we did this journal, because that brings us very near to the people who get this journal. And that's the cool thing about this junk journaling stuff, because we make this out of junk and trash and things like that. And I think it's the coolest thing when the people say, oh, that's a newspaper, or they say, oh wow, that's the rest of my shopping bag or something like that, and they realize that by their self. And of course, such things that I'm doing or trying to do here can bring this whole thing together, and they can bring these things that we are thinking about to the people. And I think that's, of course, one of the hardest things that we can try to reach. But yeah, perhaps we have the mood to try that, because I think that's cool when the people can see that. And of course, there are people who can't see that, I think. Well, that's not visible, that's not so great. I have to let that dry. Yeah, of course, there are people who can't see that are not able to see that. They say, oh, a nice journal, I have something where I can journal in. Of course, that's the same amount of greatness, or yeah, how can you say that? But I think this this level where the people see this whole stuff behind, that's a thing that I really like to reach with every journal that I bring out to this world. And that's the stuff that I, yeah, think is the special thing about that. And perhaps with this idea, there are, yeah, some people who like to try that out, because I also know from several groups that this is asked very often. How can I bring this whole stuff together? How is it possible to make a journal where everything fits together? And very often it's all about these little tiny things, all these color spots, all this, yeah, this little tiny things that when you put everything together, finally it fits together. And often it's yeah, as I said, only these little color spots that make these things so great and fitting so well together. So perhaps you would like to take a look at this. I have to stand up here and see what you can see. So this is the first page. This is the second. And even if I have this one here, and this has to dry, so I think that will not be such bright when it's dry. And I have this little tag. And when you imagine that this whole stuff, very simple, the easiest thing you can do, only make some color spots and ready to go. When this comes together in a journal, and you have fitting colors, you have some really dark greens that will fit here. Even if you have page from a botanical book or something like that. So let me just grab my botanical book here. So, for example, what not would fit so well, so I have to put it upside down that you can see it. What not would fit so well is this, because here we have this really pinky thing. But when we search for something that's in this other color scheme, for example, this page here, look how great this would work together. And the main thing is that you have several different colors here. Of course, this is a whole thing. This is a beautiful page by itself. But when you put this to it, then you can see that the colors will become a whole thing, I think. So I don't know how I can explain that, but this browns here, you have it here and here. And this greens, of course, you have it here in your color palette. And all those things come here, are here in this picture. And this red and this something like a purple thing here, that's not something that don't fit into there because of this. Because this makes this whole stuff come together. Yeah. Hopefully that makes sense, and hopefully you can see what I mean when I put this here onto this page, that this whole stuff gets something that fits together, and that can be a really great help when you make a journal and you have this page, and then you can go back to your journal, so to this journal where you collected all your things, all your ideas, and you can go back and think, okay, what can I do? I have my color palette. I can make something like this with this white little dots. I can make something like this, or yeah, in the other direction, like here. I can put the dots here to another place, and suddenly everything fits together, and it doesn't need much, only a few things to put this whole stuff together. Yeah, so hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you will follow me in the next video. In the next video I will show you another idea. So also for this painted ephemera embellishments journal, and perhaps you would like to try this out and make your own, and yeah, perhaps you would like to show me your ideas and your results. So please share that on Facebook or on Instagram or where else, and tag me in some way so that I can see your results and share them or repost them. I would be very happy when I can do that and when I see what you come up with. And yeah, so I have to put this back into my journal, and I have to dry this and try out the next thing so that I can come up with the next video for you. I wish you a very great time until we see the next time. So stay home, stay safe, and yeah, stay healthy. Okay, so bye-bye. Yeah, that's not the end of the video. So I just came up with another little tip when I wanted to clean my space here. So when you have this leftover from your painting, of course, you don't have to throw this away. You don't have to let this dry or something like that and waste it. But you can, when you have this plastic foil here or some other surface where you have your paint on, you can just spritz a bit of water. I wouldn't do it here to the white such much, or perhaps, don't know. And then just make it like this. And you think, okay, what is she doing there? Don't know if this with the white will yeah, work such great. I haven't made that before, but let me just try it. So I just spritz some water and bring this to a little bit more of surface here, so that it's not all on the same place. And then I have this book page here, and I just make it like this, and so I can clean my my surface, so my plastic foil. And I also have a really great thing that I can use in another journal. So I leave it like it is, let it dry, and I will do this with several other book pages until my surface here is cleaned up. You can also do that when you use stencils. So perhaps you would like to try out this idea and spritz your stencil with water, and then you can also press a book page or some papers into it and clean up the rest of your color here, and you have a really great page that you can use for another project. Or of course you can make scraps out of it. You can, yeah, do nearly everything. So that was a thing that I just wanted to let you know. So this is the really end of this video. But as you can see, you have really great results when you do it like this. Okay, so see you the next time. Yeah, stay safe and stay home. Bye bye.